Good day everyone, and welcome back to another segment of Biddy and Miley's story. And I'll be covering 2 days today, the 20th and the 21st. And something very exciting happened. On the 21st, she actually started incubating, which means we are officially on the countdown to the eggs hatching. But before all that, we see her on the 20th actually getting up and leaving at her usual time. So the fact that she started incubating on the 21st means she's been laying eggs for possibly even a week, depending on the clutch size. So blue tits can have anywhere from, I'd say, 5 up to even 11 to 12 eggs. Now, generally what I've seen is them being between 5 and 8 and even 9 1 year, but you can get very high numbers. You can even get higher when 2 females are laying in the same nest, and this can happen on rare occasions, and it can even happen with different breeds of blue tits and grey tits when one species will take over the nest of the other, usually the grey tit doing it. So Biddy did spend a lot of time on her eggs on the 20th, and but she did leave for a couple of hours throughout the day, so it wasn't a full start to incubation, but it was a sure sign that it was coming. You can see her here having a nice stretch after waking up just before heading out. So I don't know how many eggs are in this clutch of eggs, and this is a new one for me. As I've mentioned before, this is the first time that I've been using a side view nest box, and I've used the more traditional kind from the view from the directly above the eggs down. So this is new to me. But on the flip side, it will also be interesting trying to find out just how many chicks there are, so how many eggs there were. So I'm going to guess possibly 7, as I've said before. So we'll have to wait and see if I'm right. And make sure to have your own guess down in the comments, as when we find out, you'll be able to look back and see if you were right. So as I was saying, she has been spending a lot of time on the eggs, but she does leave to get feathers and stuff to make that nest a little bit softer. And as I've said before, I think this is just maternal instinct kicking in. And she does something very amusing here. She manages to get loads of white feathers stuck to her face. It's quite comical. So she leaves there with her funky new hairdo. You can see here that she leaves for roughly over an hour, and she just wouldn't do this while fully incubating. They're usually shorter trips than that. And you can see with this behavior, that's actually her turning her eggs, as she needs these eggs to be heated quite evenly to support the healthy grow of the embryo inside. And she leaves us with just a slight glimpse of an egg there just over the moss. So she leaves again here, and you can see a little while later Miley actually comes with a bit of food in his mouth, looking to feed her, but she's not home. She eventually arrives home an hour later with a new feather to add to her stash. And you can see she left the box for nearly 2 hours there. and she just wouldn't do this when incubating. She doesn't really stray too far once it starts. But having said that, she did spend quite a lot of time on the eggs on the 20th, which was a big indicator for me that she was about to start incubating the following day. But this was the clip that I actually spotted the egg for the first time. I slowed it down for you here, as it was a big occasion. It was a real blink and you'll miss it situation, but you can see just the tip of the egg there. Needless to say, I was fairly chuffed with my discovery, but it was also had me thinking that this is certainly not her first egg. It was more likely her last, as if you can imagine full clutch of 6 or 7 eggs in a nest cup, that one we're seeing is actually up the side of the other ones. It's on the edge, so there's a full clutch of eggs there. How many, we just won't know until they hatch. So she eventually came in and started looking like she was winding down. So this is when I really think that she started to incubate, as from this point on she never really leaves the nest for too long. And there she stayed until the following morning. So by the time the colour camera was kicking in, Biddy was fast asleep at 10 to 6. And by 5:45, she was just waking up, looking a little bit dazed and tired like the rest of us, I'd imagine. But she eventually leaves at 20 to 7. But it really wasn't for long, and she was back just 7 minutes later, and I would say she was being fed by Miley outside the box. So for the next 2 weeks or so, this is what sort of footage we are going to be getting a lot of the time. So my videos are going to be a lot shorter, as there is just going to be a lot less to cover. But I will be continually updating short videos on Facebook, and I will continue to do a video every 2 days. There just might be a little shorter, as I've said before. So since she started incubating on the 21st, I'm going to guess the 2nd of May is when we will have some chicks. So fingers crossed, give it a day or two. It might be the 1st, it might be the 3rd, but I'm going to guess the 2nd. So let's hope this good weather keeps for them, as that will ensure a good hatch of all the caterpillars and flies and larvae that they will be feeding their chicks. So fingers crossed for their sake and ours that the weather stays nice. And as I've said before, once the chicks have started developing in the eggs, she can't leave them for as long as she would have before incubation has started. So the biological clock has really started to tick. So she has chosen her time roughly to when the chicks will hatch. So let's all hope and wish Biddy and Miley the best of luck, and hopefully it will be a successful year and plenty of her and his chicks will fledge successfully. That was pretty much all the action from the last 2 days. She didn't do too much yesterday other than sit in the box and incubate those eggs. So as always guys, if you're enjoying the videos, please like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next one. Alrighty, bye bye.